Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio Show. I'm Derek Asklar, and Craig Talley's on the line here. We'll be hosting the show tonight. I see Jason's already jumped on to chat. Guys, you can get to that just by going to Spreaker.com and clicking on Hardcore Metal Detecting, and go right to the little comment section right there. You have to be logged in, but you can get right on there and chat with these guys. A lot of experience on the chat lines there, on the chat page. But, Craig, I was just telling Craig a minute ago, man, we've been getting rain since I got the mowing done this morning. It's been raining like cats and dogs since. So, and Craig's been dealing with it for days. You building an ark yet up there, Craig, or? That's what I'm starting to think.
It was like the sidewalks today, just walking up to the post office. I had to practically walk in the street because on the sidewalk, it's like 3 or 4 inches deep of water.
Yeah. But, you'd be turning that gain down on the next couple of weeks if it ever stops raining. Especially these detectors, get them in there. Some of them work real good when it's wet out. It's like a conductor, but yeah, you can't run the same power. Not on. I wouldn't run the same power anyway, because it can actually hurt you sometimes too, depending on which detector you're using. So you're not getting out at all.
The other day, and Mike came in and he had a 3-ringer, and he just found, and he said it was weird that he had the Deus, and I guess there had been a lot of rain and stuff, but he said he got a 38 signal, and it should read like 85, I think, something like that.
Right.
But the bullet just didn't read right in the ground, and it was only like 4 inches, maybe 5 inches deep in an area we've hunted a lot.
Right.
We hunted the whole yard pretty hard.
Was there anything else in the hole with it, or did he say?
He said there wasn't, but I'd have to check with the bliss to see if, I could hear anything, but I don't know.
What's it scanning up after it's out of the hole, though? That's what I didn't know if he scanned it.
It read right out
after the hole.
Out of the hole.
Yeah, I was trying to get an idea of what the ground could have done. It wasn't that deep.
There was one thing weird with it. It was like been stepped on or something heavy had laid on it. It was like flat, kind of flat. So it should have almost read higher.
Well, yeah,
like that, but I don't know.
Unless it was something iron that was laying on it.
It just makes you think. You can't go by numbers all the time.
No.
Even stuff that's 4 inches deep seems not to always read right on these meters.
You got to go by your ears.
And Mike said that the only reason he dug it was it sounded so strange.
Mm-hmm.
He said it was a solid hit, but it sounded weird, real weird.
Right.
And he said he dug it just to see what it was, And he said, he said he felt it in his hand. It was heavy, And he thought, wow, it almost feels like a bullet. And then he looks, and the only way you can tell is right at the end. You can see the rings.
Right.
But it's flat. It's kind of flattened out.
See, I was digging those on those roadbed up in Tennessee with Bill and Tom there, the old Civil War roadbed, and man, it was just so miserably hard to dig down. The bullets were like 7 inches down in that. So I had a pick like you'd use for prospecting, and I was just beating the crap out of the ground to get those bullets up. But they came out oblonged, like just picture a bullet and just step on it, and all you see was the rings on there in the general shape, but. And I wasn't getting any different of a hit. Well, with the bliss tool, anyways. I mean, he just knew, hey, it's non-ferrous, bam, it's hit it. But maybe with the discrimination and stuff on a Deus or whatever, if you're using that kind of discrimination, and maybe that's why the meter cut back. It should have gone up though. I mean, it's bigger surface area. It's lead. You think it would have popped higher on the VDI, not lower, but I guess it could have had some, old rust or something on top of it, whatever was laying on top of it. And, you check it with the bliss tool tomorrow, excuse my language. I forget we're on the radio sometimes. We're just not talking on the phone. But, go back over that thing in all metal to see if there's anything else in that hole. Maybe it was just covered up partially. It could happen. Craig and I were just talking about this earlier. From a newcomer's standpoint, getting into metal detecting, or a seasoned hunter, okay, even the way you swing your detector, we hear everybody talking about the weight of the detector, uh, generally, and it came up the last show too, and I talked about I think it was Rusty Fawcett when we hunted with them up there in Ohio. He was using a CTX with this big coil on her. I don't even know what it was. What 15? It had to be a 16-inch coil. Craig, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, I think so.
But I was commending him on hunting all day long, and then hunting the next 2 days at the actual hunt itself, and he just kept on going and going with this. Obviously it's a heavier machine, it's a bigger quill, it's got more torque on your arm and stuff like that. How he was able to go 2 or 3 days. I mean, he's a hardcore guy anyways, but what was he doing differently? And then when I went to the beach with my mother, I was letting her metal detecting. Of course, I got some video of her metal detecting, and I said, "Oh man, she's really keeping the coil nice and level." And she's swinging left to right, a little slower than I'd like, but I was just kind of just generally watching the video. It's like three or 4 minutes long, and I remember her saying in the video, "My arm's really starting to hurt." And I said, "Oh, okay, well, we can stop for now." And I got home and looked at the video, and I'm like, "Wow, man, I set that machine up for her." Obviously I adjusted the length of it for her and everything like that. And she always watches, like Craig or my videos or whatever. She'll go through and start watching videos and stuff. And it dawned on me, she's trying to do it right, or the way that she sees us do it. And we're seasoned hunters. We've been out here for many, many years, metal detecting, and of course, I want to cover as much ground as I can thoroughly. I don't want to miss anything. But I extend out my detector shaft a little bit longer, and that way I can swing. When I swing left and right, I'm getting even farther out there. But as long as I have control over it and keep the coil level and everything like that, I'm covering more ground. And she was trying to do the same thing on the beach, and beach is a big old area, so yeah, her arm was hurt, and I'm thinking to myself, man, I didn't even think about that aspect of metal detecting from a newcomer standpoint. They're not used to. You're not used to making that motion. Just left and right and left and right. It's a repetitive motion. You're not used to. You're using muscles that you don't normally get used a lot. I don't think, anyways. So yeah, her actually her shoulder was bothering her a little bit, but mostly it was her elbow.
Well, the bad thing is, you're using a joint,
right,
with ligament tendons, and I've gotten called repetitive injury.
Right.
Where you keep doing the same thing over and over. Like I played tennis, I got tennis elbow, I got tennis shoulder. Had wrist problems every once in a while, and it was always the tendons and the ligaments stretching, from doing all this repetitive stuff, and you can get it. I used to have a tennis shop. People would come in and they would, I'd have housewives that wanted tennis elbow brace, but they didn't play tennis. And I was like, well, what do you need that for? And she goes, I hurt my elbow painting. Another woman did it ironing. Just all kinds of weird, repetitive. There's all kinds of different things that can, do that to you.
Oh, exactly.
But, I do the opposite of you do. I shorten my machine, and Rusty was doing the same thing. He was shortening the machine, so he didn't have that strain, and like you would. You couldn't do it for very long if you put it really out there with that big coil and that CTX.
Oh yeah, well even with like the Bliss tool with the 15-inch coil, it's lighter than the CTX and everything. But we've talked about the torque with a bigger coil. You have that torque left to right. If you don't come to a complete stop or ease, like as you get to the end of your swing, slow down just a little bit, and then that way you come back smoother, and the other direction the same way, because you don't want to have that snatch. You snatch the coil back and forth. Yes, you're putting a lot of pressure on certain tendons and muscles in your elbow and your forearm, doing that, doing it over and over and over again all day long, yeah, you're going to be sore as heck at the end of the day. I was on the beach with her and I hunted just as long, and it was, it was nothing for me. But then again, I've been doing this for, 16, 17 years or more. And, so my arm is used to it. And that's what I was getting at more than anything else. Even like you talked about shortening the detector shaft up a little bit. That's an old, well, I don't call it a trick, just a bit of knowledge in order to cover, you want to overlap your swing, your coil, where your coil goes, you want to overlap by at least a quarter on the next swing over top of where you already went. So by shortening up your detector shaft, you're slowing yourself down. You're also slowing, the area you only, you can pick. I'd rather cover a 3-foot wide area all day long rather than a 6-foot area for an hour or two before I'm tired. What I mean? Or what I'm just, throwing numbers out there, to shorten up, to concentrate on shortening it up.
Hunt, 8, 12 hours, to stretch, on the weekends, each day. And I'd go out, early in the morning. I'd be going back to the car when the sun would be going down.
Mm-hmm. And there's not a lot of,
and so you'd be tired, but as long as I didn't have, that tendonitis pain in my arms, or my back, or something like that, then that, that was tired was okay.
Yeah,
but, when you got that kind of pain, and I've seen a lot of people, get, bad shoulder problems, from swinging heavy machines.
Well, swinging heavy machines, they're not swinging them properly.
Well, I think some of it is just you do it too long. You just don't realize.
Right.
I've gotten into, you get into a good spot sometimes, and time just vanishes. You don't even realize 5 hours just went by just like that. You're just digging all this stuff up and having a lot of fun, and all of a sudden, you're driving home. I've had this happen a bunch of times. All of a sudden, I go to scratch my head or something, and my whole hand and arm just,
you almost smack yourself in the face.
Spasm, where I can't even. It's like painful. It's like I can't get my fingers back together.
I've had it so bad. I've had it so bad where my arm, the elbow would bend, like smoke a cigarette or something like that, and my arm, I'd have to physically push my arm back down because my bicep and somewhere in my forearm, the muscle spasm. Getting spasms for like 2 or 3 hours after you get done. It's like, good God, what did I do myself? I can't even, my arm is not working right.
Probably you might be a bit dehydrated too.
Yeah.
You forget to
drink
or eat anything.
It's a vicious addiction, isn't it? It's, you don't eat, you don't drink,
Yeah.
But and with today's machines that are coming out in the last 5, 6 years, anyways, the recovery delay speeds are, on most of the machines, are pretty fast. So it's not so much about having to, back 12, 15 years ago, you had to move a lot slower on your swings from left to right in order to find stuff. Like the XLT from Weiss was notoriously slow recovery delay speed. And that was the theory, and that was, I believe, what the theory was, a slower recovery delay speed means you can get deeper into the ground, which makes sense. It was a relic machine. And, I watched a test on that years ago, where they did a recovery delay test, and shows how far the coil would go over the target before you would hear a signal coming from each direction. It was another way of doing a recovery delay test. Of course, that most of the detectors nowadays are dead on, bam, bam, bam. But the XLT, you could go all the way over the target, and I think it was, I want to say it was 5 inches away from the center of the mass before the detector would sound off on that XLT. Now the MXT was within about 2 inches, I think, or something like that. But it was a factor that as you were swinging, you heard that beep, but it didn't mean that beep was right there. You're kind of searching for it a little bit more. Craig, do you remember those days? I thought Sorrow used to do it too. They had recovery delay, but it wasn't, it wasn't keyed on so much. But now with these faster...
I remember this guy had a Garrett Groundhog, I think it was called, and it had the bell tone when you went over. kind of like the Ace 250s and
Right.
350s and stuff have. But it had it was like it didn't bong until it went way past the target, and then it came back. And,
Right.
you had to kind of really zeroed in on the target to find it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is back in the 1980s too. But a lot of the machines that I also saw back in those days didn't really have like a set recovery speed. It just
Right.
kind of
It wasn't part of a thing.
speed of your swing.
Mm-hmm. That was a
it
technology
was
jump, is what it was. I mean,
yeah.
it used to be, they figured out how to control it or how to make it a part of it.
Yeah, that's the big thing since the last 5 or 6 years. I think is the recovery speed. That's the only really jump they've made. I think.
Yeah. I mean, they also had to figure out number two is not to lose.
They haven't
depth
really
with
gotten
it.
that much more depth out of the machines, but they've gotten a lot more recovery speed.
I don't know. I don't know, Craig. I think that in that aspect of getting depth with recovery delay speeds being higher, they've done pretty doggone good. I mean, from the aspect of if you're getting,
yeah, but I'm saying,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about general depth compared to.
Oh yeah. That makes sense.
The depth hasn't really improved a lot in the last 5 or 6 years on any of the machines. I don't think.
Yeah.
It's just kind of the same.
Yeah.
The recovery speed has definitely, really gotten better.
I think the readout, the like if you have a screen machine, I'm noticing this with the Quest, how well it locks on to those deeper 7, 8, 9-inch targets, like dimes and stuff. Where on most of the other machines I've had, as far as with screens, the numbers would jump dramatically as the depth got deeper. That's one of the main things I liked about this machine is, I can deal with a 5 or 6 number jump, in a row, whatever, going from say 80 to 85, going back and forth right in that area instead of going from 55 to 85. You know what I mean? And I'm not seeing that with this machine except when I go over bottle caps. Bottle caps, yeah, if they're shallow enough, they'll come up like a quarter almost, but you can hear the nuance on this machine, that it's not necessarily a good target, but if it's like a 4 or 5 inch deep bottle cap, it'll go up to 86 or 84 or something like that, but it'll drop clear down to like 40s and then bam, right back up. I'm like, well, that's weird. It hasn't done that, and then sure enough, it was a bottle cap. Oh, okay. So, I'm learning stuff as I go along with this machine. But it's stuff that I've taken for granted for so long.
Yeah, the Deus does that too.
Does it? Okay.
It doesn't really sound that great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's repeatable and stuff.
Right.
But it'll give somewhat of a high tone. It'll be like 84, 83, 84, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And but on the Deus, you get this horseshoe, and it'll usually read to the left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like I can get a pretty good signal. It'll sound fairly good on the Bliss tool, but if you speed up the coil a little bit, it just really deteriorates the signal.
Oh yeah, it's like
it sounds bad. And it's like you say, you can also, after you've dug a few, you can almost tell every time.
Or pinpoint it. It doesn't pinpoint in the same spot it's iron.
Yeah,
that's the
thing. Yeah.
I can't really include the Bliss tool in a lot of this because they, the technology part of, well, of course, it's getting better depth. I mean, than most of the machines out there. But I mean, using what it's using, like the recovery delay is so fast and everything else is so quick. But it can still ID. It knows the difference between iron and non-ferrous, the non-ferrous stuff, and it won't. It may fool it for a second, but once you speed up that coil too, it'll let go of its iron. So if you have your discrimination.
I remember in the old days, I used to use the Tesoro Toltec 100 with a 10.5-inch coil. It was a meter machine.
Yeah.
It was a concentric coil.
Right.
Never dug a steel bottle cap ever. It wouldn't even read it right.
Really?
It would read it like, iron.
I wish they could take all the good things out of all the metal detectors. Every machine does something fantastic, well, I'd say over the top. is really good at one thing. Take all that little technology and put it in one metal detector. We'd have the best metal detector ever made. Because little quirks like that about the bottle cap. I've never had a machine that just wouldn't dig bottle caps. I mean, they were always even with the bliss tool. I mean, if you aren't paying attention to it and you just hear a signal and you dig it, and it's a bottle cap. I mean, that's about the only way I dig them, anyways. But a lot of times on the beach, I'll still dig them. But that machine you're just talking, the Toltec, that's different. I've never heard that before about it not wanting to lock onto bottle caps at all. So.
Yeah, like if you got a signal on it, it was like reading like zero almost.
Wow.
It was like like it was iron.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't even realize until later that there was somebody. Oh, I didn't dig the steel bottle caps with the Explorer much either.
Right.
It didn't read those right.
I heard it was pretty easy to tell with one of those. I didn't mean to get off. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
But it'd be kind of neat if they could come out with a decent concentric coil for some of these machines nowadays instead of a
double D.
Instead of the double D, but.
And I'm just going to tell them on here. A lot of the newer people may not know. Craig's talking about a difference between a double D coil, which is pretty much what we're on most machines nowadays, more popular ones, but a concentric coil. The main difference is think of the double D as a blade. Like if you have a 9x5 double D coil, usually the length of it 9 inches, you're going to have a 9-inch blade. That long when you're scanning over a target. When you're dealing with a concentric coil, picture a cone, like a construction cone, turned upside down. That's what the signal does. It goes down into a cone shape. So, yes, you can get deep items, but it's in a small, you can miss a target real easy at that depth because it's coming down almost to a point, a cone shape down into the ground. So that's the main difference between the two that I know anyways. But Craig, go ahead. Sorry, buddy. I just wanted to let them know that because that's kind of like a newer term. We don't talk about concentric coils very often. So
no, when we got the D's, the double D's, they picked up iron a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't used to getting a good signal on iron in the steel bottle caps, but I mostly hunted in the woods, so. Like the Nautilus would pick up deep iron is a good signal.
Mm-hmm.
It would actually discriminate on it. Big iron. A lot of machines would. I never dug a lot of nails with the concentric coils. It was always with the like the Nautilus and the. I've dug quite a few with the Deus too,
mm-hmm.
And just on real tweaky signals, that you weren't really sure of. But
I don't know. The concentric coil, they had the 5.3 inch round concentric whatever coil from White's when I had my Spectra V3, and the darndest thing, I dug a V nickel 15 inches down in the ground. Should not be possible. I mean, it was a solid, and I don't know if I still have the footage or not, but it's so long ago now, but I wasn't really doing any, other, maybe a YouTube video once in a while. But when I went over this target, Craig, it's like it was like maybe 5-6 inches down in the ground. Usually those coils don't get very deep, but I must have just hit it just at the precise angle, right above it. And I dug down. I'm like, God, man, this thing's crazy deep, whatever it is. It's got to be an aluminum can or whatever. I was kind of going through my mind, and it was a V nickel, and there was nothing else in the hole. I mean, I kind of went through with the pinpointer and stuff. So, you can get some extreme depth out of these coils depending on your settings and stuff. But your target pattern, you don't have that 9-inch point or whatever to go across with like a double D coil. You have probably what, Craig, the size of a milk cap, you would say, at the total depth of a concentric coil. Is that what you figure it looked like?
Yeah, depending on how
Somebody,
big it was, but I
yeah.
always used the 10.5 inch. That was the biggest one they had back then.
Right. I bought the 5.3s
Um,
as a shooter coil for trashy areas. So, I mean, that's what I was, what I bought that for. But I mean, essentially that's what you're doing. You're swinging. So you have to really overlap quite a bit. But at least I wouldn't, personally would say a half at least on a concentric coil. Overlapping half to three quarters, really, when you think about it, if you're really trying to be thorough with it. Because, if there is deeper stuff in the area you're hunting, you're going to miss it if you don't after a certain depth, whatever your detector's limitations are as far as depth goes. So, if you're, I don't know, 8-inch dime, you can get now, but would you get it with a concentric quill? I don't know. Unless you were overlapping properly on your swings. So, another one of those, swing more. But I don't know. I use them in trashy areas myself, Craig. I mean, that's where I really think a concentric coil shines. But I had one on.
yeah,
I
I
think
can
it was a
see that.
Lobo, or a. God, it was 2008 or something like that. I was using a Thesaurus. I think it was a Lobo, or I don't know. Maybe it was a Bandito or something like that. My machine was in the shop, so I had to buy one, or not buy one, borrow one, and it was a concentric coil on it. But that's where I got the rounded, nuanced sound on coins. It was from a Thesaurus. So if it sounds rounded, if it sounds like a
Yeah,
rounded signal, dig it. So
yeah, I used a Bandito for a long time too with a big coil. I used to run it at zero discrimination,
yeah,
and I never kicked it into all metal ever. I just
right.
ran it that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I dig deep nails every once in a while, but I could get a lot better depth out of that machine.
Well, you're also
I had
talking
the,
too with the
I had the
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I had the Eagle Spectrum at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, and I could get bullets a lot deeper with the Bandito than I could with the Spectrum.
Right.
But the Spectrum seemed to get copper and silver better.
Mm-hmm.
But depth. But
Well, you hear this even in the Deus, I'm sure. I mean, I've never really used the Deus very much, but as you come, like you put a quarter on the ground, as you lift that coil up off the ground, just like an air test kind of thing. But as you're lifting the coil up, does the VDI numbers and the tone go down lower? Or you're hunting what, full tone, right? With that Deus?
yeah, I am.
As you're raising the coil up, when does it start losing that coil as far as tone and VDI number? Is it like 7,
It just goes into a more of a tweaky pitch, like a little small signal, but just or a tweak.
Right.
But it'll be a high pitched tweak.
See, now what I noticed with this Quest is when I went over a target, like the 9-inch dime, I could lift that coil off of the ground a little bit, and it almost want to start dropping a tone in the new ones. I almost wanted to get lower. And I think it did it on the air test. I'll have to do a video on that because I'm almost positive it did that. But when I did it with the ferrite, or not with ferrite, with the hot rock, that big hot rock, the first time I shot, I did two takes because I couldn't get the machine to do what I wanted it to do because I was trying to show the way I had it set up and the way that it comes factory. But at any rate, I went over it the first time and I was actually getting the 69 caliber bullet through the hot rock. Laying on the ground, whatever, but it was giving me a high tweak, like it should have been a higher tweak, whatever, sound beep or whatever. But when I put my settings in, I was moving the ground balance around and stuff because I'm always constantly trying to figure out a way to make it better. So, but what I noticed is that I started getting, instead of a higher tone, I got an almost right above iron tone when I come off of when I was scanning over the hot rock with the bullet underneath it. And I obviously did something wrong in a way, but I don't know, it could still read out right. But as I lifted my coil off there, it started dropping tones a lot on just my recovery delay test, for example. As I brought it up off the ground, like 7, 8 inches off the ground and was scanning over them, it would drop a tone on them instead of being an original, where they should have been. And I noticed on the VDI numbers, they were jumping just a little bit lower than they would have normally been. So, there's a lot of little things that you might think are a problem, but they're not. They're actually helpful because if you can adjust it, that's where it comes down to. What possibility do you have with a metal detector once you buy it to tune it up to make it good for you, or the way that you like to hunt with it? How much performance can you actually get out of a metal detector? Before you're going to have to buy a different kind or a different brand or a higher step up to get the performance that you're wanting as you get into this hobby. And, that's what I try to always put in there, like, with the Bliss tool, I spend a lot of time with it. And you can actually, with that machine, you can actually tune it and find better and better settings as you go along, as you start understanding how the different knobs work together, not just separately, like setting up discrimination, but understanding that all three discriminations and the gain and the threshold, which is sensitivity, all are working together, and even to the certain extent as far as the frequency goes. So as you adjust in these things in the right points, it's making the machine even better than what you had it at before. So what on other machines are the same premise. How much can you make that machine better before you're going to get another one, or is it even possible? Some machines don't have a learning, I don't know what you want to call it, Craig, experience level, change. Like with this Quest, I mean, I know there's like maybe if you spent some time with it, if I spent maybe, I don't know, 30 hours with the machine, I know I could probably make that machine about, we'll say between 25 and 35% better than what, I don't know, the way it's normally, set up already, presets. I can get about 30%, I would think, better performance out of it. So that's, something I can learn into or whatever and make the machine better for me and better for other people if these settings work for them too. And a lot of it deals with ground contaminants and all that. But it's a way for, there's other machines that just don't have any kind of, I mean, what you see is what you get. You might be able to move the gain up some or something. That's about it. It's not gonna work the same, or not gonna have any capability of being, that much better. You might get 10% better with it. These older machines and stuff, because the technology wasn't there yet, in them. So, that's just kind of more opinion than anything else. But, getting back to even the swinging the metal detector, we talk about this a lot. Well, when you think about it, Craig, people know metal detectors. Oh, yeah, I've always wanted to try that. Well, they get one in their hand. I mean, they know the general, I got to swing this thing some which way. Mm-hmm. They don't have any concept of how far off the ground. They don't have any concept of keeping the coil level. They swing up in the air. They think it's going to, they just don't know how to properly swing it. But in teaching somebody or telling somebody, start them off small. Less is more. That way they can get used to the machine, have control over the coil. And there is a lot of control with this hobby too. People think, oh, you're just swinging it. Well, you try to keep a coil an inch off the ground and keep it totally flat, and especially when you're working in a cornfield or a field that's been plowed, or you're working up the side of a hill. We get into a lot of different predicaments where, you're forced to swing in an awkward way for, quite a while, like hunting a cornfield, with stubble. If that stubble 6 inches off you're having to swing totally different than what you would normally do, because you have to get in between all this junk and everything to be able to metal detect properly. Well, you're going to be sore as heck probably by the end of the day, because you're just not used to it, being in that situation that much, where if you were just hunting a plain field or a soccer field or something like that, Craig, you deal with it all the time being in the woods. You don't know what kind of situation you're going to get in. I know you're like me. I learned it from you, actually. Knocking stumps over, they're rotten, break them, kick them over and knock the log out of the way. There might be something underneath that log, down in the ground. Yeah. So, and you're doing all
the
stuff.
funny thing was, with the Bliss tool, I was going over logs sometimes and finding stuff underneath of them.
I did that over at the trenches.
Yeah, I got a big dandy button up this place up in Maryland, and it was, the log was probably, I don't know, 9 inches high, and I went over the thing, and I got, it was a repeatable signal, but it was soft, and I had to dig sideways on both sides of the log that, because I couldn't. It was hard to pinpoint it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's I don't know exactly how deep it was. It was probably over 12 inches deep.
Mm-hmm.
But
and you were talking about coils in general. A lot of these coils, these double D coils, are more of an egg shaped. Would you say, Craig, or oval? At least a lot of them. Blistles are round, but I mean, there's something. Thesauro is round. Most of them. I'm talking like the T2.
Were all round.
Yeah, I was like the T2, the F75, the AT Pro, even I think the CTX is more round. The stock coil.
I had the Lobos, which were, they were gold machines. They were high kilohertz, but they had elliptical coils. They were, they came with double Ds, but I had a concentric that I got for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was good for coin hunting, but the double Ds I didn't like. I even had a concentric, I think it was 15 by 11 inch coil.
Mm-hmm.
It was huge. I took that thing to Ocean City one time and hunted dry sand, and I dug I think it was a sterling silver snake ring down about maybe 10 inches deep with it.
Wow, that's good for back then.
I remember these two guys. It was first and only time I really hunted the beach, like that. I've been on planted hunts on the beach, but I was just at Ocean City for a week, and I just was bored, and I just said, I might as well go out and do what I like to do. Try to find something. And I found a ton of coins. I was finding quarters, all over the place. But these two guys walked up. I heard two guys behind me. One guy said, "Oh my God, look at the size of that coil." Mm-hmm. I looked around, and two guys with white, and I think they had the old blue box, with the meters.
Yep. Oh yeah, yeah.
Probably 5,900.
5,900, yeah, it sounds like.
Yeah, but those were really good ID machines back then.
Oh
they
yeah.
ID'd, for shallow stuff. I mean, you could actually tell, a lot of guys could tell a plaid dime from a regular, from a silver dime.
Yeah. And, folks, you don't find that very often because they make, everybody wants to make you believe, oh, yeah, you can see what you're digging before you dig it. Don't believe that because you're not going to know what it is until you reach down there, pick it up, and knock the dirt off of it and go, oh, wow, it's a coin. Because I can't tell you how many times, you get this perfect signal and the perfect VDI number, and, man, it's sticking on there, and pull tab. It's not a nickel. It says it's a nickel. But it's not a nickel, so, it's to give you a general idea. It's another tool to use, to make sure you're digging a good target. I bet the best way I can put it, Craig, because even with these quests, I'm looking at it because I have to see what it's doing so I can explain it or whatever. But I'm hunting that machine by sound mostly. It just sounds good. It has a nuance to it and stuff. And that's the same way, even with the White's machine that I had, the Spectra, after a certain depth, it just went into the negative range, like it was iron. And once you knew that, you knew, okay, this may be a very deep quarter. Because quarters, it would read up as 86 or something like that. Or a silver one, I think, was 90 something. I can't remember now. It's been a long time ago. But, if it was a 12-inch quarter, silver quarter, it would actually go into the negative range, negative 93, because it actually had 200, negative 0 to negative 95 and 0 to positive 95 on a White's machine. So anyways, I couldn't get an accurate reading on it. I was getting a signal on it, but it wasn't in the right tone. It was just to that depth where the detector just couldn't tell, but it knew something was there. So you got to be careful of that too. Don't rely if you're just strictly looking. Oh, it's a 70, 76. It has to be 78 for a dime. So I'm not going to dig that 76. Don't do that because you're screwing up. You're going to miss a lot of good targets that way. Don't be a slave to the screen. If you're going to be a slave to anything, your ears are the best thing to use because you can hear the nuance, you can hear the crackles, the pops. And it's consistent. It happens quite a bit where you get into, like what we were just talking about, bottle caps. The bliss tool will just, flat out spit on a bottle cap. Or if you can't, I can hunt the thing in all metal and tell you the difference between a bottle cap and a quarter and a heartbeat. Everybody could once they see what I do with it, but you're just by, crisscrossing, pinpointing. If it doesn't pinpoint in the same spot every time in all the directions, then it's probably probably going to be a piece of iron, bottle cap or something like that. There's tells that every machine has, and you can figure this out as you go along. But don't believe the rhetoric about it being all that. It's going to tell you what's in the ground. It's going to dig it up for you and clean it off and put it in your fine bag. It's not going to happen. Exaggerating a little bit, but that's what it's almost like. It's like they're telling you. But it's just because people are new to the hobby or thinking about the hobby. Because I couldn't tell you how many people, they didn't come up to us and talk. But the beach was so packed that I couldn't really, I couldn't spend the time I wanted to with the machines. I did use it. It seemed to be really good, but I want to go back because I know I probably didn't have some of the stuff set up right on it because I was not only trying to help Mom out, but also dealing with people and standing around and everything. And I'm couldn't really shoot a video to help myself out either because I do that a lot of times too, Craig. I get into a good area or whatever like that. I'll just turn that recorder on and start actually just detecting. And when I can go back and look at it and listen to see if I'm hearing anything. With this new camera, I got this GoPro with this Rode mic, man. I'm picking up the subtleties. That's really surprising. Microphones on the camcorder, especially, well, even the GoPros, they're not the greatest. If you want to have really good sound, buy one of the Rode mics. They plug right into the adapter for the GoPro, and man, I tell you, it's night and day. You can stand right out in the windstorm, and you can still hear the wind, but you can hear the person's voice over the wind. And you get a lot of those ones in the UK where it's just, where they're shooting a video and it's just like blowing against the microphone of the camcorder, and you just can't hear anything really other than the wind. So, I was able to use that. It helps me out later on if I did make a good find that day. Well, I got it on video type thing, but I'm also looking to see what I'm messing up on too. Maybe I didn't cover a certain area the way I wanted to. I mean, it seems like overkill, but I don't know. Craig, I've always if I'm going to be out there doing this, I want to do it right. I want to find everything I can find and use every bit of knowledge I have to try to, accomplish finding a relic or two. And, so I do what I have to help myself out. But, and showing other people how to do it, or even people that go on by them. Like I have there's been like 7 or 8 ladies that have messaged me. Well, I'm a small, lady. I can't handle a heavy machine, and this. Which one should I start out with? So, of course, I always go the route anything under 3 pounds. And you have to look at the style of it, and you have to, see if it's going to fit you right, type thing. If you have the opportunity to go try one out or what have you, because they have the idea that these things are so heavy that it's going to break their arm off, and that's what my mom was like too. She goes, she grabbed a hold of the Bliss tool or the Quest or whatever, and she goes, oh, well, I'm thinking it's going to hurt my arm, but she's trying to, and I didn't even realize that she was swinging just like I do, and I've been doing this for a long time. So, I told her on the phone later that night, after I was going to post up the video and stuff, and she goes, well, I told her, and she goes, yeah, I'm going to shorten my swing up a little bit. That would help my arm, because that's when it was hurting, when I was really going far to the left. Or right, I'm sorry, she's left-handed. So when she was going really far to the right and moving that shoulder and then coming back on it, that's what was bothering her so bad. But, even an experienced, seasoned hunter, you may not realize you're doing some of this stuff, too. I didn't. I mean, and now that I've, kind of saw the light, so to speak, I'm going to start making some subtle changes when I'm in different environments to help me out physically, because I'm not getting any younger. I'm starting to feel it a lot more. I don't want to be a slave to Advil, right, Craig? So, or you take something else. I'll leave, yeah. But, in doing that, and also, with your settings and stuff, and I've even, some of the directions and stuff, less is more, guys. When you're starting out, start off just the basics for the first time or two out. If you haven't been doing this at all, or you're just getting into it, or even just take your time You don't have to go out there gangbusters, crank the gain all the way through the roof, turn the discrimination all the way up to the top, and because you're reading this and saying, well, I don't want to dig nails, so this needs to be up at 8 or 9. Well, you can probably get away with 5. You just take your time with the machine, use the presets for a little while, and then as you feel more comfortable and you understand your machine better, then you start tweaking stuff pretty good, and you can move, mess with the ground balance if you have that capability, or the recovery delay, or whatever setting it is. If it doesn't really work for you, or it's not doing what you want it to do, just turn it back to where it was and pick another knob to turn. It's pretty much you got to try stuff, even if it seems unorthodox. Some crazy things work. I mean, Blissful out on the beach on a wet salt sand, man. I don't even use ground balance. Turn that sucker off. Just turn it all the way off. Turn your gain all the way down. Put it in discriminator 3, and run your silencer higher. I mean, that's and that's what I came up with. And I don't know, Craig. I can't even remember how I came across it, but I just did. I think I got aggravated. Is what I did was when I was on the beach, because one time I wasn't having any problem, and then I got to a different beach and I couldn't get the machine to stabilize. And that's what it was. It was, I was trying to ground balance it to saltwater sand, and it just, it's almost impossible to do.
I think you put everything at 0 and then started tweaking it up.
That's right.
You realized that it was working better at 0.
That's what I did. Because Ahmed didn't know.
I think that's what you told me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense that it would do that.
Yeah. Even Carter did it. He tried to, and they were using the machine. It was unstable, but they were able to show the gold chain and stuff, and that was one of the videos I watched that I was pretty impressed with, that it was able to get a gold chain real easy, and that's something most metal detectors have a hard time with. So, but yeah, Craig, you're right. I think I said, you know what? Screw this. I turned everything to 0. It's going to be an all metal machine, whatever. If I can ground balance at night, I just turned everything to 0. And then I started moving stuff up, first the discrimination and stuff. And the major thing on the V3 model was making sure you had it in the least amount of ground contaminant setting, which is the toggle on the bottom. If you're on a wet salt sand, turn it to 3. That's the least amount of iron mineralization you can get. But we're dealing with salt mineralization. So I went to the opposite end of the spectrum. Instead of being in the 1 where it was 4 heavy iron mineralization, I went to 3, because there is no iron mineralization. It's all salt. And it was just my premise of doing it, and it worked, so that, it just, sometimes you happen upon stuff. You just think about what the machine's doing, what the controls are doing. That's why I think the Spectra V3 from White's was so good for me, is because in order to learn that machine and make it perform the way I wanted it to, I had to learn every one of those settings, correlate and, recovery delay and gain and threshold and all this, from an all new perspective, really. And that White's form, I tell you what, I think a lot of us were bombarding them years ago, when that Spectra V3 came out, because, well, it has like 2,000 different adjustments you can make on this thing. Everything from color and tones and sounds and just everything. They had it all in there. So learning all that just spawned it on for me. Now I'm looking for this kind of stuff and what it's doing in these areas. So it's easy to tell if a machine has potential or not, or if it's just going to be, just a good machine. Because they all find you something. That's one thing that we've always tried to do. We never beat up anybody's machine, because, well, they do their job. They do find you stuff. It's just, we're looking at levels we want something that's going to, the top of the line, the best we can afford, or the best that does the best job, really. Because it's not even about money anymore, Craig. I mean, the price on these detectors now, this is lower than for what you're getting now, for $500, $600, $700, $800, 10 years ago would have been what, $1,500, Craig, at least.
Oh yeah.
I mean, easily. Yeah. I can remember looking at, I think it was even the MXT, I think in 2009 was still $900. And it'd been $900 for a long time or something like that. And so, nowadays you're looking at something that, we're using now, that's come out in the last 2 or 3 years. The performance is pretty doggone high, and it can surpass the MXT. I mean, it's not a bad machine. I used one for years. I love the machine. I actually like it. That's my favorite White's machine of of all of them really was the MXT. The DFX was okay. I never really got into that machine, but some people really know it. I guess you got to have the ear for it, and maybe I didn't have it. That's why I never really got into the Mind Lab E-Track. That was a toss up for me, is buying one of the E-Tracks, but I couldn't wrap my mind around the tone. It was something as simple as that. The way the tone was. Some people like it though. I mean, so it's kind of preference.
Yeah, I always liked it.
Yeah.
And I, a lot of my friends, people that I hunted with, they go, "Oh my God, I can hear it through your headphones. It sounds like a synthesizer."
Yep.
And I go, "Yeah, it's telling me what's in the ground. It's cool." I like
what?
it.
I guess
that thing I could tell like buttons and coins a lot of times just by the tone, especially silver.
Right.
That thing would. And if I went over a silver, like a $2 real or a quarter, man, I could almost tell you what it was, just by the sound. But the buttons would, they didn't sound like aluminum, and they didn't have that weird sound.
Tinny in there.
They have more of a solid sound. I can't really describe it, but every time I, get a low conductor signal, I go, "Man, that's a button." I could tell pretty much.
See, I couldn't get my ear wrapped around it.
Yeah, I think also, if you dig a lot, you can start hearing these nuances that you can't hear in the very beginning.
Yeah, that's true.
When you first start,
Good point.
I seem to know. I seem to hear nuances other people don't hear.
Yeah,
but I'm not a visual person at all. I'm all sound.
Craig, how many
listen?
How many times have you told somebody on the I mean, this is true stuff, guys. We'll get phone calls from somebody, and Tom Bunch was one of them. I mean, he was on here. I don't know if he's on here tonight or not, but called me and said, why is it doing this? And I could hear it over the phone. And I was trying to remember what he did. Oh yeah, his cell phone. He had his, older, this is 5 years ago, but his cell phone, when he got a text message, it was making the Bliss tool act weird. The V3 model when they first came out. And I said, put the phone in your car. And he did. And he went back out there, and of course he finds the breastplate and the bullet, and he goes, "Well, heck, I had to go back to the car to get my cell phone to get a picture of it." But, it was one of those simple things. I have had guys hunting, and he goes, "Well, what does this sound like to you?" He's doing this over a cell phone. I'm in Florida. He's in, I don't know, Montana or wherever. And I said, "Well, that one sounds good," but he had another target marked off. "What's this one?" So that has tinny. That's some it has some iron in it or something's messed up with it. Sure enough, I was right over a telephone. But you get to know these sounds. I think that's why I like a single tone, not like with the E-Track with it. Whatever, that it's a tone, but it's just a different style, and I can't wrap my ear around it to hear the imperfections of. I listen more for one tone or the way the tone is, a solid tone. So I'm listening for imperfections in that to help me judge whether to dig this item or not, or what it might be. Where it was just harder for me to get my ear wrapped around some of the detectors because of that reason. I mean, I'm not hearing what I want to hear out of it. As far as information goes, a nuance in it, and I had to work, even with the Quest, I had, if you get, the one thing I did find out, that siren signal you get for overload, Craig, on the one detector, this one does that, but it only does it on items that are like within a 1/4 inch of the coil itself. And once you come off it, boom, it's locking right onto it. Giving you a VDI and a signal and everything like that. That's the only time it ever did that. But that was one of my pet peeves because the machine I was using before, when you went over, it would give you that siren overload signal, but it was reading nothing on the VDI. I mean, it was like it was nothing there. And that's what made me mad because it could have been, hey, be honest, it could have been a chunk of steel or it could have been a brick of gold. The machine would have, you just. And so I found no use for that whatsoever. But see, with this Quest, it gives you that when it's like right on top of the ground, just about. So I know, okay, well it's right there. I'll just get my pinpointer out and get it. But at least it was giving me a VDI number at the same time. So I don't know. It's just little things like that I look at is it's doing more processes. Of course, we're talking about the comparison machine was what from 4 years ago, I think 3 or 4 years ago anyway. But it just what you're looking for, and even with these, as far as swinging with the heaviness of the coils, they're lightening a lot of these up now. But the coil side weight, the machines aren't balanced quite right because of where they have the control boxes and this and that. So you get a coil heaviness, and that wears on your wrist quite a bit, depending on what kind of detector shaft you have, whether it's an S shaft or a T, a T handle shaft. How you're gripping it and everything. I never really liked S shafts until I got the Blisstal, because I had the Beach Hunter ID, and that was an S shaft detector and stuff. But with the Blisstal, I don't know, you could balance that thing. It was so close between the coil and the control box. I think they were the same weight, within an ounce. And so, I can shorten that shaft up a little bit in the way I hold, can hang it on my fingers, like my index finger, and kind of swing that way, or grip it different ways. Where with a T-handle shaft, I couldn't do that with, like I'm just using it as an example, just like the GPX 5000 or 4000, whatever. They have that. It's just, there's nothing above the handle to kind of like rest your index finger and your hand on, so you can give your hand a break. And that's that's what I found, because I made a straight shaft T shaft for the Blisstal, and I used it for a little while. I said, I just don't like this. It doesn't feel right. It has to. I can't do enough adjustments, because that's another way I handle the repetitive motion. I change the grip on the detector in different ways. Even subtle ones can help take the pressure off certain ligaments or whatever your muscles that you're using. It changes it up a little bit, because you're moving your hand in a different position, so you're not using the same muscles. I mean, it's kind of technical, but not. But that's one thing with these, like the Equinox, I think the Deus has it too, but the Quest has it, where the screen is right above the handle, so it gives you that spot to let the detector rest if your hand ever did get tired, or arm got tired. You wouldn't have a problem. Now, all these machines are quite a bit lighter. Like the Deus is, what, 2.5 pounds, something like that, Craig? It's light.
Well, 2.2 pounds with the box.
Yeah, I think the Quest is running 2.8.
Without the box, I think it's 1.9 pounds.
Yeah, the Quest is 2.8 pounds. I think the Equinox, that's got to be like 2.5 pounds too, isn't it? 2.5 to 3, I'm sure.
2.9.
2.9. So the same weight as the Quest, anyways.
With 11-inch coil.
Right. And see, that's really good, though. I mean, when you think about it, because you look at like the, what was it? I'm trying to remember what detector it was now. Doggone it, Craig. Oh, there's so many of them out there. Thousands of metal detectors. Anyways, I had one. The older ones where they had the control box up in front of your hand.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I'm thinking about even a CZ21. I mean, it's an underwater machine, so it really doesn't apply to this. But where they have the control box located, if you were to swing that out in an open field, I'm sure your arm would fall off, because it's so much weight. You got the coil and the control box, and then you have an arm cuff back here. Well, that's going to wear on your arm quite a bit. And you're in the water, it doesn't really matter, because you're fighting different kinds of fatigue as far as swinging under the water. That's a whole nother ball game. You guys think it's hard swinging on? You get under the water and try it. That drag will kill you. I don't know how Mike Miller does it. He's out there for 8 hours in that water. I saw another guy out there that on Mother's Day, that he was out in the water, I mean, chest deep, and he went. I mean, I lost track of him. I mean, like a mile down the beach, and I'm thinking to myself, man, he hasn't come all the way back. I think I'd have to have 2 people. You park at this end, I'll pick you up and bring you to the other end, and we'll work our way back to your car, or something like that. Just so you didn't have to walk back up through the water again. Shoot. I'm notorious for getting down the beach a half a mile and going, oh my God, the car's all the way back there. Oh well, I guess I'll go back around, just another cut above it, and didn't realize I was quite that far. So I get into a cut, like on beaches too. I mean, if you're new to it, if you can't see where the cut is, or I have an idea, obviously, if it's like high tide, where it's going to be at low tide. I usually work from the water towards a dune. I mean, 50 feet anyways, turn around and go back. And I'll work digging targets wherever they might be. And when I get about 30 feet or, whatever, 40 feet, whatever, past where I started at, I'll look back and see where the majority of the holes are. I mean, sometimes, especially if I know it's deeper stuff, I can still see where I dug the holes because I filled them in. You can kind of judge where the cut is, where stuff is lying. If you're consistently digging on this one, 3-foot area across the beach, with the water, going the way the water is, you have an idea that's where the cut is or where the stuff is or getting collected to. As far as the towel line, that's kind of a free-for-all. I mean, that's, stuff's left on a blanket or a towel or whatever. They pick it up and it falls off. I mean, Mom got into a coin spill and a lighter and everything else all in one hole. And it was right there on the towel line. So you never know what you're going to get into. Sometimes that's where you get into your jewelry, your earrings, your, even cell phones, whatever, sunglasses. They'll get up from that blanket or whatever, or off that chair, and they'll drop stuff or forget that they laid their ring on that blanket, and they pick up the blanket and there goes the ring. And they probably don't even realize it until they get halfway home. Oh my God, where's my ring? So somebody will find it. Mom was saying that too. She goes, well, where's the diamond ring? Where's the diamond ring? That's all she said the whole time. I said, Mom, you're not going to find a diamond ring. Why not? Because I'm hunting in front of you, so I know you're not going to find it. And she'd get mad at me. I said, you said you're not going to find a gold diamond ring. It's not. If you do, heck, I'll buy lunch for you, which I did anyways. But it's just not something that you're not going to go out there. And God bless you if you do. If you go out there and find, a gold coin your first time out, heck, my hat's off to you. You're the luckiest person alive, because you know what? Most of us go out. I dug inside of a headlamp for a Model T Ford, I think it was. I mean, some old beat up, I could just barely tell what it was. That was my first detector find. And then I got a curtain rod end. I mean, so, you don't go out there every time and find the riches, but you got to put the time in and do it and have a little bit of patience. And it's fun. So why not? You get to play in the dirt. Come on. What could be funner than that? So I do see a lot of people, they're more and more interested in metal detecting. I just wanted to get some of that out. Don't hurt yourself the first, give yourself some time to get used to metal detecting in general. Don't go out there and try to metal detect for 10 hours, because it's just like any other sport or activity, even bowling. If you had never bowled in your life and you bowl for 10 hours, you're going to be sore as heck tomorrow morning, because your body's not used to going through those motions. The same kind of thing with metal detecting or football or whatever else. You're not in shape, so to speak. And, so, take it easy. Take your time. It's supposed to be fun, not work. So, though with all this rain, Craig, it's seeming like work right now. But I take breaks too, If you get aggravated, frustrated, just, hey, go have a, drink or whatever. Don't drink alcohol. I mean, like a bottle of water or something like that. Sit down, relax, enjoy the scenery. Get up 20 minutes later. If you feel like metal detecting some more, go ahead and do it. If not, go home. No big deal. I mean, some of these, I hunted with this one guy, and, oh God, I can't keep up with you, man. I'm just getting more. So take a break. He goes, yeah, but I'm gonna hunt. I said, I'll hunt around here. Take a break. I said, it's not supposed to be work. You're not supposed to kill yourself out here. You're supposed to be, getting a little bit of exercise, having fun, finding goodies. Hey, and he finally slowed down a little bit. I thought he was going to have a heart attack. And he's a pretty big guy, and he's like going for, I mean, shoot. I think we were hunting 5 solid hours. We hadn't really taken it. It's one of those scenarios where we were finding a lot of stuff too. So I probably needed to take a break that day too. But Craig, I think you're right about that dehydrating. I mean, I know I don't stop to drink.
You don't realize it, and all of a sudden, the first thing you do is start feeling cramps in your legs and stuff.
Yeah.
But you get tired a lot quicker too. Mm-hmm. But you gotta keep hydrated when you're out there, especially if you get a lot of sun on you and stuff.
Out on the beach, that's dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I've had
you got all that white sand reflecting the light on you and stuff.
I've been so bad with that stuff. That I've been about one step from sunstroke many times, or heat stroke, or whatever the heck you want to call it. many times. Just the warning. When you start feeling woozy, if you start getting cramped up real bad, I mean, guys, take a break. It's coming on the summer. Lightheaded, any kind of those symptoms, and you don't usually get those. It may not seem like you're doing much, but doggone, if you've dug 100 holes and you've been out there in the direct sunlight or whatever, and you haven't drank anything or ate anything, I mean, it's a physically demanding hobby. It can be. I mean, I guess it's only as physically demanding as you want it to be. If you're out there just, really going to it, at these hunts and stuff, it happens to me too.
A lot of times, the digging is just as hard as on your body as swinging the machine.
Yeah.
Plus, you got to carry a heavy shovel or a heavy scoop, and and then you got to, if you're digging in the dirt, the way I do, I went to, just basically turning the trenching shovel into an axe, chopping, and that's what you see. Most relic hunters in Virginia, that's how they dig.
Yeah. And even doing that,
the newer
Craig,
guys are all using this straight, predator shovels.
Oh,
and stuff,
yeah.
But you see the old timers like us. We all use we just chop a hole in the ground.
Yeah, Craig, you got me hooked.
Root.
You got me hooked on that now. I going out into the woods in these palmettos and stuff and metal type. Man, I love that entrenchment shovel. I got a Japanese one, Japanese entrenchment shovel. It's 36-inch long handle. I mean, you can grab this thing with two hands and whack through something, and I like it. But yeah, I was always one of those ones that used, smaller, like I think it was a sand shark or a shark predator. I don't know. It's a lesh tool, whatever. But, when I got the Bliss tool, I got tired of digging 3-inch wide holes. You know what I mean? Because it only has a 3.5-inch wide blade or something like that on it. It's okay for the dirt parking lots and stuff like that with the hard ground. But I'll tell you, I went to a regular long-handled shovel, and I made a lot better progress because I had to dig down so doggone deep on some of this stuff. It became a problem. Just without getting down on your hands and knees and digging by hand, that way. So, yeah, it definitely, things have kind of changed up a lot for, as far as what I'm making and stuff. I made another sand scoop and everything. It worked out good. Number 2 shovel, guys. If you're not going to be hunting in the water, if you're going to be hunting like the wet sand, even the dry sand, take a number 2 shovel, bend that thing. Have somebody heat it up with a torch, bend it, dip it, and it I don't know, it worked fine for me. And you can step right on, you make it into almost a 90-degree angle. I would suggest actually like an 85-degree, whatever. You don't want it vertical, whatever. You want it a little bit bent back towards you, the handle part of it. But yeah, you could step right on that thing right into there, get it, flip it out of the hole, and recover your target. You can get the sand out of the hole, especially in the wet sand, really quick. I take like 3 scoops to one that somebody else does with a regular sand scoop because you can't get the sand out of it fast enough to get the next scoop out of there. And the sifter's all well and good. On the dry sand, I guess it would work. Recovery time is like nothing for me. I just flip it out and kick the sand around, and then take my pinpointer if I want, and if I don't see it, and use the pinpointer on it. But when you're in the water, you almost need one of those, like a T-Rex or something, if you're going to be hunting in water all the time, because, well, as you're in the water, it filters out all the sand, obviously, and you just end up with your targets. It makes it a lot easier to recover in the water, too. You wouldn't want to use what I'm using in the water, just the sand would just come off the thing most of the time. So, if you can't buy the tool that you're wanting, make it. I mean, I made one. Well, that sand scoop lasted what, Craig? Well, it lasted almost 5 years. I just broke it this year, finally. And it was actually not where I welded it at. Actually, the handle broke. The metal part, where it goes down into, broke off. But, God, I've used that thing and dug the crap out of targets for... I never thought it would last a year. I didn't even think it would last a month when I made it. But I used that. It's been sitting out in the weather and everything else. I don't even put that in I just set it by the truck, if I'm going to go beach hunting, I grab it. So, I mean, it's not like it cost me $15, so it wasn't, I got 5 years of use out of it, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, really.
But there's nothing wrong with making your own. Sometimes you can make stuff in a way that works better for you. I mean, I have a couple, I think I showed Craig where I added a side handle onto the Bliss tool, not because of the weight, but it gives me a chance to hold my hand knuckles up instead of knuckles like side, like grabbing hold of. I can grab it from a different angle, and that was like really, really good because I could shorten that detector shaft up with a 15-inch coil on there, and the torque wasn't there like it was holding it the other way. If I didn't have to watch it so much because I'm using different muscles in my elbow and some my arm and everything. So you come up with little things that help you out, and then you use them. I mean, a lot of these guys get making their own stuff all the time. Well, even the detector stands. I mean, Bill Pendergrass came up with that, and I still use those. I mean, he found all the right fittings that he needed and everything, and shoot, for $20-$30 you can have your own, kind of detecting stand as tall as you want it, wide as you want it, whatever. PVC is a beautiful thing. I love PVC. You can make anything out of it. Well, that banner, Craig, I thought that was all PVC frame. That's all it was. It goes together. I made the rack for the truck, even the wagon when I went to the detecting in Chicago or whatever up there at the Detectapalooza. I had all my detectors, a cooler, the whole 9 yards, walked, the 200 yards out to the beach. That made it a lot nicer that way. Just pulled it along, park it, and started detecting. Got tired, just pull the cooler out, pull the soda out, sit down on it, take a break. So wouldn't normally do that, but on that hunt it worked out really good. So you can make a lot of difference. So just put your mind to it, or you probably see a video somewhere of some of this stuff, but that's where I can get a lot of my ideas. A lot of the stuff, even with the cameras, setups and stuff, you can go and buy these different parts to make like podcaster racks or whatever they call them. I just make my own. I mean, it's just for what I do, it's fine. You can get really, really fancy and expensive really quick with camera equipment, recording equipment. Well, metal detectors are the same way. You can get really expensive with that on accessories. So yeah, like with the Quest, I was looking at that, Craig. I told you guys it had the same. I think I told them they had the same headphones. Am I right, Craig? I can't remember now.
Yeah.
I did. Okay, well, I needed to clarify that. I did. I never looked in the box to get the headphones out of the Quest Pro. I thought that the smaller ones I show in the Quest 40 video, they're more like Deus, about the same size, silver dollar size headphones, wireless, really nice. So I just kind of figured that's what was in the box too, and lo and behold, it's full size headphones in there. They're wireless. They got port in there. If the battery ever did go dead, you could just actually send it with a cord. It's a stereo adapter, whatever. You plug it into the headphones, and you can plug it into the machine. So you'd have wired headphones, but in case the battery goes dead or whatever, you have a way of using your headphones with it. But these things are really nice. They feel like almost. I don't know how durable they will be. That's the one thing I question right now, because I have a pair of Killer Bees and I do like them and they fit good. But on these with the Quest, the leather is just a little bit thinner. So we'll see. I mean, they're very comfortable. Love putting them on. They're actually a little bit bigger than the Killer Bees, a little wider at the ears, so it covers. If you have big ears like mine, it fits over them good. But yeah, but I was pretty impressed. I mean, I didn't expect those are $100. I looked them up. They're $169 for those headphones, something like that. If you were to buy it singly, an $800 machine with $160 headphone. I mean, do the math. You're getting a pretty doggone good deal on the detector package here. Just buying it outright. But they and you don't need the adapter. You know how they sell those with the little, I don't know, transmitter. I guess it's Craig transmitter and the headphones and receiver. You got to plug that into the back of a lot of detectors so it can send the signal. With the Quest is built in. I think the Deus is built in too, obviously.
Well, they got a lot of wireless headphones that have a wire hooked to a box.
Right. That's a transmitter receiver
and
thing.
And so you got a wireless headphones with a wire on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I got. Well, I could talk about this because it doesn't really matter now, but that's why I got ticked off with our wireless headphones, and that's why I haven't really sold them. If you have wireless headphones, the theory is you don't have wires. You know what I mean? And, they were good. They were very good. No lag at all. Nothing like that. But are they durable enough for my customers? Are they going to hold up? No. When you have earbud wire, and I'm not lying, that was what the headphones would plug into the receiver with, the receiver box. I'm like, no, I'm not. I gave a set of Craig, and I think Bill
It
Pendergrass.
lasted one time.
One time.
You know, before it wasn't. I was getting signal in one ear and not in the other.
Yeah, I'm like,
and so it was kind of some kind of short, you know, already.
Yeah,
I told Derek that. I said, "Oh my God, if we have, you know, it's going to be a problem if we sell these things."
Yeah, I just don't want I didn't want to give my customers anything. My friends, I didn't want to give them these things, you know, because I know if they're not going to. They worked right, but the durability factor is not. It's not there in America here. We are rough on metal detectors. You have to admit that. On a whole, we are tough on equipment. You know, we're going to push everything to the limit. I mean, how many shovel handles have you broken? How many entrenchment tools have you worn out, Craig? I mean, how many detectors have you broken somehow or another, coil ears, whatever? You know, we're just really tough on stuff, but we expect stuff to work. And if I can't, and that's why I didn't want to. Hey, if somebody wants to try them out, I got 6 boxes of them here that I've eaten for the most part. But you know, if you have a product that's not going to stand up, why would you bother making a headache for everybody? You know, I just like, okay, they're not for me. I'll stick with my wired headphones, you know. But now I saw these, like the Deus. I like the Deus ones from the get-go. They were small, they're compact. That's the way they are with the Quest 40. But the bigger ones I really like. Now, see, I always like the whites.
The Deus, you know, they have the bigger muffs too. Also,
right? Yeah,
they came out with.
Oh, they did. Okay.
And then they had. Yeah, and then you can get like a module to make your own wireless headphones if you want.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah,
you can snap that one piece off the headphones itself, and you can even mount that on the shaft of the where the regular box goes.
Right.
You can mount that on there. But you can run the Deus without the box. You can just use the headphones only. It's called Deus Lite.
I guess I should tell them, Craig, that, well, some of you may not know this because I didn't realize it either, that Quest is actually used to be Detechnix. So,
yeah.
I mean, the product's good. I mean, these guys, these engineers, whoever, I mean, I'd say 99% of this machine, looks-wise or whatever, the performance of this machine, as far as the detector shaft and everything else, everything is top notch. I mean, it's very well engineered. I was surprised just on looks wise and comfortable and all that stuff. But, you know, yeah, Detechnix is now Quest. So I don't know what happened. Something, I don't know, somebody sued them or something. I don't know.
Sued them over something, and I think it was on the data link, and I'm not sure what else. But
yeah, I don't know.
Part of the settlement was they had to dump their name and get a different name.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what, Detechnix, I have one of their pinpointers, and I tell you what, that thing's a rock solid. I don't care what anybody says. That thing, I torture the hell out of pinpointers. And this thing is, I've never even broke this thing. I haven't even had to replace the little rubber thing they put on the end of the pinpointer so you don't wear the plastic.
Either. We both had them the same amount of time.
Yeah, same month we got ours.
It's been over 2 months. I mean, over 2 years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I know that.
You see it on my video. It's the same one I've had for forever. I actually mounted it to the Bliss tool just so the little, it comes with a carrying case and everything. But, yeah, it's a solid product. I mean, it works. It's pulse induction pinpointer. It'll pinpoint a dime from 4 inches away or darn close to it anyway. Has a little light on there and everything, but it's essentially water resistant. If you put, I put a little silicone on mine if I wanted to. I haven't messed with it yet, but you can silicone that speaker up a little bit or put some tape over it and probably be pretty much waterproof then. But they do sell a waterproof version. But hey, for under $100 for a pinpointer that works, heck yeah, I'll take it. You know. But they've done a pretty good job. They're the ones that make the wireless headphones too. So, it's a good company.
Yeah, they got what's that, Z-Link, or is that something different?
Oh,
they make I can't remember. They make a little module that you can put in and to the headphones.
Oh yeah, they may. I don't know. I haven't gone that far into it. I just realized this. Well, was it? When did I tell you? On Saturday, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what the heck? How did I
Yeah.
do that? Just it's one of those assume. You never assume anything. But the
That's
boxes,
for sure.
yeah, the boxes are all the same size and the same look. I just, I saw black. Okay, that's the um, carrying case for the headphones.
Wasn't the grip on the machine a little bit different
Oh
too?
yeah, the handle. I mean, it looks the same as you're looking at it, but when the Quest Pro has this, it's rubber of some kind, but it's a it's almost like a silk feel to it, right? Where it fits between your thumb and your first finger right there when you're grabbing a hold of the handle right there. It it's different than the Quest 20 and the Quest Pro or Quest 40. I'm sorry, there's three different detectors. The top of the line machine, it's a lot different. It's probably because it's waterproof. That's what I'm guessing. Correct? They had to make it different, obviously, to seal everything up properly. Um, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this thing's good to 16 foot under the water. That's what it says, anyways. But even the
So
Quest,
when are you going to test it down
yeah,
to 16 feet?
yeah. When my wife ties a concrete shoes on me and throws me overboard because I've been driving
I
her
mean, you got to
nuts
do
with
some
this.
proper tests here, you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, drown me, brother, drown me. She's ready to strangle me over this because I've spent so much time. Oh, my schedule is like crazy, chaotic mess, and my wife thrives in chaos. She can make anything happen, and she's the best organizer, the best person for any kind of job like that. With me, chaos is my enemy. I can't stand it. I need to have organization, and make things happen because it's so many years. I was in, I was a foreman at a rodeo company and driving truck and everything. I've always been self motivated, but it, I can't deal with the 50 things going on at one time. I have to concentrate on maybe five at a time. My wife, I mean, you could throw a party event with 1,000 people coming, and she'd have it figured out and have everything going strong when it was time for the party or whatever. She just has that talent. I don't. I'd be shooting the DJ, and the cook is fired, and
I don't think many people have that talent.
I've seen her. She does fundraising, or she used to back. Oh gosh, the Super Rides. I can't remember the name of it. It's a Harley group. It wasn't Toys for Tots or anything like that, but she generated a couple $1 million for them. Just whatever fundraising and stuff like that. Getting people involved. She's very, very good at that kind of thing. Management stuff or anything. Supervisors. She deals with all that. Me, I don't deal well in that situation. I think it's Craig. I don't know. I can't work with people like that, if that makes sense. Just too many people, too many things. No, I can't do it.
I'm kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
I like doing stuff kind of like by myself.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, we put on these big shows down here.
That way I don't have anybody to blame but myself.
I'm digging up way back now, but I mean, when I was foreman at that rodeo company, we'd do off-site bull riding. I mean, we had a mechanical bull. We'd do gunfights. Real deal, pretty much real deal stuff. I mean, we had horses. They used to have I don't think it's there anymore. American Cowboy Company down in Tampa, the 2,200 or 2,600 foot dance floor, huge nightclub. And I brought my horse right into that on that dance floor and everything else. We had 2 horses in there and a gunfight going on and about 1,400 people in there. So, you want to talk about chaos. Maybe that's why I don't like it now, because it's like safety issues and 20 million things that could have gone horribly wrong. And, thank God they didn't. But, trying to keep everybody safe. And, I learned back then I don't like that kind of responsibility. I can do it, but you almost have a meltdown at the end of the night thinking about, everything that could have gone wrong. We even had a bull out there. It was a beer drinking bull. That thing would drink beer. If you let it, it would open up the cans itself. It would crush the cans and drink the beer. Well, they thought it would be a fun idea to bring that out there, and he can drink some beer. So you're dealing with a 1,500-pound bull that he was pretty much a baby. I mean, God, I could halter lead him for God's sake, but when you put him in an environment with all those people, whew, we had it secured. But man, I tell you what, your heart starts racing every time something goes on, a car backfires, or so yeah, I don't do the chaos theory. Jeez, I need to have a Valium after that whole ordeal, I'm sure. But yeah, I did that for about 6 years, and we did it. We had a rodeo arena, the whole 9 yards, Greg. But I thought about, it's not there anymore. Well, it's there. The owner died and left to the kids and this and that, but it's gone now. I mean, the rodeo arena is still there, but all the buildings are gone and everything. But I can't tell you how many times people went out on rides and stuff like that, came back. I lost my engagement ring. I lost my necklace. I lost this. I lost that. For 32 years, I think that place was open. There's been more stuff lost along that trail, and because the horse would run off into the bushes or whatever, and people they couldn't ride, and they didn't know how to steer the horse or whatever. They freaked out, and they ended up losing jewelry and everything else. There's probably so much doggone gold down that trail. It's a golden trail, but I can't get on there because it's owned by the railroad now. So, I can remember some of these people lost big time money rings too. I mean, we're not talking. One guy lost a platinum ring, and he said he paid $25,000 for it. I'm probably sure it's probably more than that, but I don't know. Back then, I can't remember the gold prices, but still, I mean, I'd love to find that ring.
Why would anybody bring a $25,000?
Buddy, I tell you what, people.
God.
God is great, beer is good, and people are crazy. That's what it is. I've seen some people come out there, and we used to laugh a little bit. We'd work 16 hours a day. We had bunk houses, the whole 9 yards. It was pretty much like living in the 1800s. I mean, we had running water and everything, of course, but I mean, we lived rough. We lived, we worked every day. I think we might have one day off a month, it seemed like. And there was anywhere from 10 to 30 people working there, over 100 head of horses and cattle. And I mean, it was a big, big operation for what we were. But we get people come out there, the guys, we call them, they call them dime store cowboys or whatever. They drink a champagne in the bar where they should be drinking a beer, but they come out there in their brand new rattlesnake skin cowboy boots, designer boots, and their fancy, get up and everything. And I had to laugh because the first thing that happened was the horse stepped sideways and stepped on his foot and ripped those brand new snakeskin boots, and he freaked out. He was, I paid $800 for these things. And here we are out here in just, regular, Justin boots, just regular, real deal boots. Yeah, if you didn't like, but yeah, we get those all the time. Or we had to have sorority parties out there for FSU. They'd have big 400 or 500 sorority people out there, girls and everything, or whatever, doing hay rides, and it was crazy. We had a western town, about 200 yards of like a saloon, a cantina, and face fronts like you'd see in the old movies and stuff like that. And of course, there were just regular buildings behind that. But we'd have, we had a full bar that we couldn't serve, but if they brought stuff, we could serve them, type of thing. We had a blast. It was a party. I say we work about 12 to 15 hours a day, it seemed like, but some of that day was partying too. So I was in my early 20s. It didn't matter, so we. There was a party just about every single night there. I mean, what more could a young guy want? Ride horses, party, lots of women. Hey, I was in heaven, buddy. And that's when my wife will tell you that I was a dog. I was probably a big old hound dog, probably what I was. But at any rate, yeah, it was fun times. You hit those times in your life where, you're just having fun. Nothing else matters, I guess. And then you find out the real world's there, and you have to pay bills and get a real job. And I made good money, but not worth what I was putting into it. So anyway, got way off of metal detecting. Well, really, I didn't. I was giving you guys a good location. Just don't get shot going there, because I've already tried to get permission 6 times already in the past 5 years. So they won't let anybody on through that part. But some of these riding. Well, we hear about picnic groves, Craig, and like parade routes and stuff. Don't overlook hiking trails and horseback riding trails, those kind of things, as long as you can hunt there. Now, if it's in a state park or something, you can't hunt it down here anyway. But, privately owned stuff or businesses that used to be there that aren't there anymore, maybe even if it was just a produce stand sitting on the same little, patch of ground right there by the by the state road or something, been there for 50 years, and all of a sudden it's not there anymore. We think about how much change was dropped there back in the, 50s and 60s or whatever time frame it was from. Hey, you're going to find some stuff anyways. You don't know what you're going to find, but these are all little spots, man. Every church probably had a picnic ground somewhere, and it may have not been at the church itself. It may have been on another piece of property. I've run into those before, where they meet, they'll say just west of town in the old newspapers. So you start looking for places and figure out where the place was. You start finding change and everything else through there, and you just never know. I find everything. Weird stuff. But yeah,
I see a lot of people, going in the water now too, and
oh yeah,
some people just, I saw nugget noggin, just walking, no detector, and picking stuff off the shoreline and little sandbanks, and just seeing stuff down in the shallow water.
Yeah, I can't do that really. Well, I probably could. I told Pauline we need to get an airboat. She won't let me have one. I want an airboat really bad. Guys, you really need hey, take one for the team, Craig. Just tell her that I really need one. It'd make me a better person or something. I won't drink so much beer. How about that?
You're trying to get me in trouble, huh?
Yeah. No, but I thought it would be really cool to take it up the Withlacoochee River runs. It was one of the few. I think it's the only river in Florida that runs north. I can't remember offhand, but it runs north instead of south. But there's so much activity here, Indian activity and everything else through this whole stretch. Even the little river, the little Withlacoochee, I don't know how old it is. I don't know if they made that or not, or if it was always there. But you can get an airboat up into these places, but you can't get a regular John boat or anything like that in there. And I'm not riding in no kayak. My hat's off to Aqua Chigger. I'd be under the water. I'd fall out of that thing in a heartbeat. I don't have very much balance when it comes to those things. I like the good news.
Like a motorized kayak with a air powered motor, like a jet almost, and it's an expensive one. That thing, he can bang across rocks and stuff with it.
But Craig, you don't understand. That just means I'm going to die faster. That's what motor means, die faster, because I'll flip it over, that motor will kick in, and it'll be dragging me. I'll be beating my head on rocks and stuff at the bottom. That's what will happen. Murphy's Law. That's the way it is. Trying to kill me, brother.
Well, it's funny how, since he's been doing all this stuff in the water, it's starting to get competitive in the water now.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff in the water.
There wasn't a whole lot of that being, especially relic hunting in the water. I didn't hear a lot about it, for a long time, but I'm sure people were doing it, but not like they were on the land.
Yeah.
But just him kind of, showing what he's finding, all of a sudden people start going, I got a creek nearby. Maybe I'll check that out.
Yeah. I got a swimming hole, not even, it's right on that bridge. The 476 has a bridge that goes across into Hernando County, and for years, I'm talking forever, as long as I could ever remember, my wife too, every summer, that bridge always had about 12 to 15 people on it. I mean, adults, kids, everything, jumping from the bridge into the river. And they had a rope swing down there, and you can see over the years the different ropes that have been changed out. It's like, I'm surprised the branch is still up there. But yeah, that's the thing to do in the summertime here. You go jump off a bridge. That's what we do. Well, I don't. I'm a big morsel for a gator, so I get paired. We've never had an attack right there either. You'd think with as much, jumping in the water like that, or I've never heard of one anyways. But I see them in the river right by there, but they don't seem to go into the swimming area for some reason. They don't like us or something. I don't know. With my luck, he'd take my leg off. So it seems like every one I come across, it seems like it's a mean little bugger. But I had one out in front of my house last year, a 7-footer. I don't know what the heck it was doing up this far from the river, but what do you call it? Animal control came out and took it away. That was funny. There was one guy that knew what he was doing, and three people that didn't know what the heck they were doing. They thought it was a cat or a dog. They about got ate up, but but yeah, he was crawling up right up the road. I was like, what the heck? Dog going crazy. We had Macy back then. It's my niece's service dog. That it did not like gators. I'm so glad I had the fence up, because she probably would have tried to get it, really get it, and she probably would have been a morsel of goodness for that gator. But between that and the moccasins and all the other fun stuff down there, I usually hunt rivers and stuff like that in the wintertime. I should have done it this past winter, but it got so crazy. But I wanted to hunt that fishing hole or swimming hole over there, just because I know they're over, well, I'm going to be 50 in a couple of years here, so yeah, been a long time. They've been jumping off that bridge and stuff, so you don't know what you're going to find in there. Might be a whole lot of change or jewelry or whatever. But that one Aqua Chicker did, I've still watched that video every once in a while. That one where he was finding all the 1700s dollar coins and stuff like that under the water. That was the coolest video I ever saw, I think. That kept me on the edge of my seat. Kept on showing them under the water. There's some more. There's some more. I
remember seeing that, and I started watching him, and I've been watching him ever since. But it's weird now. He's doing a video almost every day, but a lot of them aren't about metal detecting. They're about like nature and sticking cameras and magnets down wells and cave dwelling, and exploring the desert at night. And I don't know. I don't like those videos as much, but I rather see metal detecting videos, really. But
he has a lot of different facets.
It's funny. He's getting toward 1 million subscribers. He's got about maybe 60,000 or 50,000 to go.
Jeez.
So he's probably making some money off this.
I hope he is.
It seems like he just puts out, the videos are like 20 and 30 minutes. He talks like for about 10 minutes at the beginning of the video.
Yeah.
And I've been hearing people that are saying, they're getting tired of those type of videos. They want to see what the British call proper videos.
Come on, guys, be nice now. Come on.
Well, he used to do, really good.
Oh yeah, I know.
Videos, but now I want to see when it's supposed to be a metal detecting channel, not nature, and just to put out a video.
I've always said though, this hobby drags you in a lot of different directions too. Maybe that's something he, if he likes it, that's what he wants to do. I mean, that's what makes it different. That's why I love the different videos so much, because they're all, you never know what you're going to see. Really, it's the way that people make them that. Even though he's doing nature or something like that, it doesn't bother me so much. Yeah, I just fast forward if I'm just wanting the metal detecting part of it, and that kind of thing.
Well, it's like, some of the British guys I watch, they don't put out videos, and I don't either unless I find something. If I find nothing but junk, that's a boring video. I'm not putting it out.
Right.
But, there's some guys that do.
I do it once in a while. See, with me, it's just, if I'm going to go out and I'm telling people I'm going to go out, I'm going to make a video about it. If I don't find anything, like I still got the video with, I got to edit and everything for when Mark Hoover and Mike Miller hunted with me over here in the woods. I mean, it was a fun video to make. Mike found 24 bullets, but only 2 of them, I think, were Seminole Indian bullets. Everything else was more modern, within the last 50 years anyways. I found some stuff too, but, I think I found 1 or 2 Seminole Indian bullets myself, but it was still fun filming it. This, even though we didn't find a whole lot, because we were having fun. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm giving each other a hard time, saying don't plant that, and just cutting up. But I don't know. You don't need to find a bunch of stuff, but I get what you're saying about making the videos and just not having anything.
I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's like there's so much stuff to watch now that if I start watching something that's not showing me, or it's it's kind of overlong, and it's not really getting my interest, I'm not going to be watching that as much. I don't, that's the way I feel.
I kind of like unscripted. I like a video most of the time that people just went out and shot video, and they edit it, whatever, cut out whatever parts they want to. But I mean, you can tell the way they did it. It's just regular video. It's just the real deal. So you get to see the environment they're hunting, how they're doing it, what the machine's doing. That's the best part of it for me because I can learn a little bit about that machine, whatever they're using, just by listening to it, seeing how it's working, what the VDIs are, kind of get an idea if it's something I want to try out or, just watch, whatever. Other videos, they're more technical. I have a tendency to do more testing or more, that kind of thing or just what I like to do. It's a little bit different than like, what you do, Craig. You do more actual live hunts where you're actually hunting more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
I've done a few, testing videos. In fact, some of those are my, most watched videos. I just, my two most watched videos, just one of them hit 15,000 a day and the other one hit 7,000 a day the same day.
Really? Jeez.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I still have mine in Podunk right now.
The one that hit 7,000, just hit 7,000. It was the V3 Expedeus speed test where I did the nail test.
Yeah.
For the coins.
Well, I hear Morgan in the background.
Yeah. Oh, he got out yesterday. It was outside for 14 hours. Slipped out the front door, and he hadn't been fixed. And we had this Siamese cat, and she's been fixed, and he was trying to mate her. And so,
don't be a dog. Don't be a dog.
Late last night, the Siamese cat wanted to come in the door, so I thought, man, maybe he'll follow her in.
Yeah.
And she came in, and I kind of hid behind the door, and Morgan, finally, she went into the kitchen, and he couldn't see her from the door, so he took off, and I shut the door, so he's
trying to be a tomcat. He's trying to be a tomcat.
Yeah.
Hey, you can't blame a guy for trying.
Oh, I know it. I mean, there's so many cats around here, it's unbelievable. We have a tree in the backyard, and that's like a cat bathroom.
Oh, my God.
It's like, we see scratch marks all over it, cat prints every morning.
Yeah.
Since we've been here. But, cats, like, always have, like, 3 different food sources. They travel around, and they know that there's cats being fed in this yard or have been.
Right.
So this Siamese cat just showed up a few weeks ago or a month ago, and really nice cat, but I think my neighbor's going to take it. But it's real friendly. I know it's a abandoned house cat is what it is.
Yeah.
Somebody dropped it off and just left it.
Look.
We tried to get it adopted, but they just kill cats because there's too many of them.
Yeah.
And it's upsetting. My friend was going, "Oh my God, you got to be kidding me! Nobody will adopt them." I said, "Mike, there's too many."
There's so many animals.
Probably 100 million cats in the United States.
I've always.
It's a shame, but that's the way it is.
Dogs are the same way. I mean, they just we have always had. I think our Chihuahua dog, whatever, he's big dog anyways, but that was the only dog we've ever had from a puppy, weaned off, whatever. Usually we have the rescue dogs. We've had more dogs that were, the way we always looked at it is, hey, they might have had a rough life, but, give them 2 or 3 years at least of green pastures, you know what I mean, where they can run around and they actually get treated and have fun. And that's the way my wife and I have always been. And even Loki, I got him from a girl that Pauline works with, but he's a good dog. He has his quirks, but I mean, I couldn't ask for a better dog. And I usually don't buy purebreds at all. I mean, he's cowboy pit and a little bit of blue nose in him, but I've never looked at mutt dogs. Have always been the best dogs that I've ever had most of the time, except for him. Every other dog I've had that we got, like a family member let us. Her brother had a white shepherd, beautiful dog. Paid $4,500 for this dog. It's strong as an ox, but the dog you couldn't walk him. I tried every little trick you can think of. Could not walk him down the road. I pretty much had to have a chain on him because he would pull so dang hard. Couldn't stop him. I tried different collars. I just couldn't. I didn't have a. You got to have a connection with an animal in order, whatever, to be able to train him.
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't have that connection with that dog. But, I tried everything. He was an escape artist. He could escape. Craig, I had a chain link fence in the ground, covered with dirt, wired to the chain link fence on the side, and it went 6 foot up, and that dog could scale that fence like a cat. So I put a roof on it. Then he'd work and work and work to get in, to push a corner out or something like that, and he'd find a way out of it. I mean, he ended up getting hit by a car he was about half a mile from our house. And it's like, what do? You've tried everything you could possibly do, So I usually don't like purebred dogs. They just, unless you know what you're doing with them. But bulldogs are different for me. I don't know. I've raised hybrid
a lot
wolves.
Of purebred dogs have kind of genetic diseases and all kinds of weird stuff. It's not really good.
Well, like Rottweilers have the hip dysplasia and stuff. They have they have issues because of the way their body's built or the way they've been bred or whatever. I don't know, but you get into a lot of these problems. Dobermans are a lot the same way too. I've had friends that have had Dobermans that really loved them and everything like that, and they get this something with their brain or something. I can't remember what it's called, but that and hip whatever, their hips get bad. So you know, the lifespan even on a bull mastiff is I think only 8 years. That's an old one, and we've had a couple mastiffs too.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks. I hate, you hate having an animal around. Well, you know what that's like because you lost your cat a couple of years ago, and that knocked you down for a while. But you had that cat for a long time. They become family.
Yeah.
So, but Loki's.
Oh yeah, it's like every animal I've had. It's very sad. My fox terrier lived to be almost 18.
Wow.
And but she was in bad shape toward the end. And I couldn't put her down. Finally my parents did, but I just couldn't do it.
We had.
I rescued that. When I was 10 years old, I rescued that dog. So I couldn't put her down.
I could tell you one. This is actually kind of funny in a way. Well, it was funny anyways, but at the end. But and my wife calls me, and it's when we were living in Zephyr Hills, and she was visiting her dad's house, and there was a blue tick hound, a beautiful blue tick hound. He was a coon hound, whatever you want to call him, and he was so skinny, and somebody had split his tail. Just he was abused, whatever. And she calls me up and wants, can I have a dog? And it's like, we already got a dog. I don't want another dog. And we got cats. And she finally said, well, if he gets in the car or a truck, if he loads up himself, can I bring him home? Like, yeah, I guess. And so he jumped, I guess it took him a little while, but he jumped into the truck, brought him home. And this dog was skin and bones, Craig. I mean, he couldn't have been even, I think he was 71 pounds, and when he was filled out and everything, once we got him back to health and everything, he was 139 pounds or something like that. He was a big dog, but he wasn't fat or nothing like that. But yeah, it was like $800 in medical, vet bills, and everything else to get him back right again. But yeah, these people some people are just cruel. I mean, I'd rather see them put him down than to just drop them off somewhere. But people are people, I guess.
I know people that have dogs and they don't interact with them.
Yeah.
I went over to this one friend of mine's house that metal detected, and it had these beautiful Schipperke. And my other friend had a Schipperke, and I kind of like those dogs. And they're real intelligent, real fun to play with and stuff. And so I come to the door, and I think they had 3 of them at the time. They'd just gotten them, and they had this one female that was just beautiful. And so the guy's wife was, watch out for the dog. They'll bite.
No.
And I just got down on my knee and stuck my hand out and let the one female named Raven sniff my hand, and then I started petting her, and they couldn't believe it. So then I went in the house, and I sat in a chair, and the dog leaped off the floor and right into my lap.
Yeah.
And the other 2 dogs are up, trying to get up there too.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, they don't do that with us. And you just came in, you just met them. I said, I don't know. I just have a way with dogs and cats and stuff, you know, animals in general. I don't know. I got this guy's bird. I was the first one to get the bird to come on my shoulder.
Right.
And then the bird would go on everybody's shoulder after that. But it took 6 months for me to get that. That bird was like wild out of the jungle or something, you know. But I tried every day. I went over there. I tried to get as close as I could to this bird, talk to it.
Yeah.
And then one day it leaps onto my shoulder and starts grooming my mustache.
Oh,
I was freaked out. I thought it was going to take a bite out of my nose or something. After that, I couldn't keep the bird off me. It wanted to be on my shoulder every minute I was there.
It could have been a pirate. Could have been a pirate. The tally pirate. There you go.
It was a big sulfur-crested cockatoo.
Oh, cockatoos. You know, the white cockatoos, I don't mind them. Those macaws, I don't know. You guys can have them things. They don't like
man,
me.
Those too big.
Oh, they're mean.
I've seen those things.
Well, not all of
I've seen
them.
those things snap a log in half practically with their beak.
Geez.
I mean, they can do some major damage with those big.
Oh, I'm telling
big
you.
Beak.
Well, you know, they usually reach
I had
up
a
and
friend that had 3 or 4 of them, and the blue and gold macaw. I guess they're expensive birds.
Oh
too.
yeah, they are crazy expensive.
But it was funny. We were sitting in his back room, and he had there was like a back room that he used for all the birds. You know, they had all the perches and everything. All of a sudden, all the birds start going off. And they're all looking out the back window. I said, "Man, something's bothering those birds." And I look, and there's 2 cats going across the backyard. You know, one of those birds was looking. You know?
I'm gonna shoot a video at back at this one place I hunt at every once in a while. Just turn the video on, and you guys will hear what I have to deal with. That's why I have to have headphones there. They raise different kinds of, I don't know, cockatoos and macaws, and it is like chaos there around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, whatever feeding time is for them. It is like you entered the Jungle Book. You know what I mean? It's just, you hear all this it sounds like a jungle. All these screaming and calling, and some of them talk. That really drives you nuts at night. And going out there to, throw the trash in the dumpster or something for Pauline, and I'll hear some, "Hey, hello." I was like, "What the hell is that? There's nobody around me." It's a dang bird over at the next property.
A friend of mine, he had an African gray, and that thing could imitate just about anything perfectly.
Yeah. Yep.
And one time we kept hearing a smoke alarm go off. We'd go in the room, no fire, nothing.
Oh, it's a bird.
I'd go back out. It was a bird.
That's a good one. I like that.
The worst one was one day the workmen were outside, and they had sledgehammers, and they were banging steel poles into the ground. So all of a sudden he starts making that sound, and it's like, oh my God, it was like ear piercing. It drove you crazy. And he would this guy's wife would be on the phone would ring, and he would answer the phone and go, hello, it's for you, honey. It would say it in the person's voice.
Yeah. Oh,
exactly. It was really funny. I mean, those birds are like unbelievable in imitating.
Yeah, that blows my mind. Shoot, Craig. Well, we're brought up to 10 o'clock, so I guess we're over for tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I think
I just didn't.
About the cutoff time.
Yeah, the last I looked, it was 10 after 9. So I guess we've been going pretty good so far. We kind of got off the topic a little bit, obviously, but what it comes down to with metal detectors and stuff is don't try to go out there and run a marathon your first time out with it. Just take your time with the machine. Set it up so it's comfortable for you. Cover the ground you can cover thoroughly, and enjoy yourself. Don't try to imitate somebody else's style all the way, because it may be, well, for lack of a better term, more advanced than you're ready for. You got to work up to it.
And don't get frustrated the first few times you go out. It takes a little bit of a learning curve, and you may not be on a good site either.
Yeah.
Or the site might be hit hard. But the thing is, if you can get on a good site you get hooked pretty quickly with this hobby.
Oh yeah.
You start finding some good stuff, you know. But sometimes it can be tough, you know. And, you know, you don't find anything good. And I see it all the time, and I hear it all the time, you know, over the years. And that's, you know, you go through. I've gone through what I call droughts, you know, where you just don't have a good spot.
Yeah,
you know, to hunt.
This is what I'm in right now.
And it's not about the machine a lot of times; it's about the spot, you know. So,
yeah, and you can do all the research in the world. I'm telling you, you can. And if you go to that spot and you've hunted it 2 or 3 times and you're not finding anything that's decent, you know, other than just modern drop coins, it may not be there, or it may have been filled in, or because I've had it happen on many of my sites. You know, that I found, they're thinking, okay, there was a school here in 1853 or 1854, and it's been a school all these years, and now it's just an empty lot. You're going to find stuff, right? Nope. Not when they put 3 or 4 foot of fill dirt in there. You're done. So I mean, you know, and it took me, and I thought it was me the first time.
Or garbage. You know,
yeah, or garbage. Yeah.
Over the years, over the top of it.
Well, I actually called Mike Miller up from St. Petersburg, come up here to Sumter County. Well, actually Hernando County, but I hunted all day long, and I didn't find anything but just pennies and stuff like that. I was like, what the heck, man? There's got to be something here. This is like the perfect spot. So I called Mike up, and he comes up, and we hunted all day long. I found a buffalo nickel, and of course some pennies and stuff, just regular old pennies. And Mike, I don't think he maybe found a few pennies. He goes, Derek, I don't think there's anything here, man. I'm digging down. He dug a penny 11 inches down in the ground, you know, and it was more of a like from 1985 or something like that. And I was like, okay, you know, it's that everywhere we went, we didn't find, and we even found the old sidewalk. And around the sidewalk, we figured for sure there's going to be something along the sidewalk. We hunted like crazy, and I found some electrical fittings, just weird stuff that didn't even correspond with the era.
Sometimes you go into a place and it looks good, and you dig it. You know, the first target you dig, you realize it's like fill dirt.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just going to be nothing but garbage, probably. You know. So.
Yeah, it's tough, and that's when you start looking for spots on that property that, you know, like in between, it sounds dumb, but in between close, like old trees are kind of close together because, you know, they didn't dig that out or whatever. You can kind of tell where the root system is. So, and that was one dead giveaway right there, is because everything was level. You know, usually down here you get the dips and stuff in the ground, and it wasn't. But, yeah, you got to search out spots where either somebody hasn't hit before, or some, you know, like an awkward place where it's a little harder to swing and stuff, because most people probably wouldn't go to that one first. There might be something good in there, or maybe some high grass or weeds when they chop them down or push them back a little farther. Hit that area, because, yeah, you're going to find some modern stuff in there, but you have a better chance of finding older stuff that nobody else has even had a coil in there. So, you know, you got to use a little, you know, make what do they call it? Lemonades out of the lemon, or lemonade out of the lemons.
Yeah.
You know,
you're just giving yourself
your
a chance
gut
to find something, you know.
No, you just use your gut. You know, if treasure was easy to find, everybody'd be rich. You know, they all find it. I mean, that's 3/4 of the fun, is finding it. You know, it's the adventure of it all. So, I guess with that, we'll kind of sign off for tonight, guys. Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and follow the show, and check out the other shows on Spreaker too. They have just every kind of topic you could think of, it seems like, anymore on there. And, you know, some good, some bad, some indifferent, whatever. You know, everybody does their own style of stuff on there. So maybe you'll find some, they have music channels on there. I don't know all the genres. I'm sure they have just about all of them too. So check it out. You can see us on Hardcore Metal Detecting Facebook page. And Craig's got the, Craig, you didn't tell him about the other Facebook page you started.
I started Craig Talley Facebook page. So I put my, I'm kind of promoting the radio show and stuff like that on my YouTube channel on there.
Oh.
So I may change the name of it later or something, but I decided to do that.
Yeah.
So,
and my videos will be back up hopefully soon. I got them, a lot of them. I think you can see them still on the Facebook pages. The forum is in maintenance right now, so is the website. We're in the process of switching everything around, guys. So.
That's kind of part of the reason why.
Yeah.
put up my own page.
We'll put them back up under our own area kind of thing. But they will be back up. I know some of you have said, "Oh, I can't find this. I can't find." Well, it's not there to find. I mean, I have it marked. I had to change some stuff around in my world, so, but it will be back up. You know, I think you can still see them on the Blissful America Facebook or not Facebook, Hardcore Metal Detecting Facebook page, and there might be a few sites out there or other pages that I shared stuff to. You should still be able to see them there, but you're not going to find them on YouTube right now, except for the hardcore shows and maybe some. I think there might be a couple videos on there, but I've just kind of moved them into maintenance, so to speak, and I'll be bringing them back out under a different heading. So, well, at least we got that out, Craig.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're on every Thursday night at 8 p.m. and every Saturday night at 8 p.m. So, you guys get out there, keep digging, and God bless.